In business, are we similarly blind to stuff that we can see is coming down the road at us, but until it actually hits us, we don't change behaviour?
You can have all the leading indicators and all the evidence pointing in a certain direction, but if you're not prepared to listen to it as a leader...
Yeah, it's too late, it's happened. You've now got the inevitable follow-on consequence of what you didn't do 6 months ago.
When the needle starts moving the wrong way, on we're not winning so many quotes, okay, what is it then? You've got to have that analysis phase, haven't you, to say really what's going on here.
Have you even got lead indicators in your business?
Yeah.
Do you even look at them? And if you look at them, do you then just turn a blind eye because you don't like the answer? I was wondering what lessons I could learn when I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning with my cat making a sort of a weird meowing sound that I know exactly what it means when he makes that sound. Okay. Rather than meow, it's more of an ow, whatever. Different doesn't like meow. Anyway, I get up in the middle of the night and sure enough, there's a mouse on the floor. This is the noise he makes whenever he brings a mouse on the floor. And so it's dead by then, of course, so you dispose of the mouse. And then you think, what's my reaction to the cat? Because the cat's only doing what the cat has been bred to do.
Yeah.
So I can't chastise the cat. I'm not going to change his behaviour. So I have to thank the cat or just shoo it away nicely as I try and crawl back into bed.
Yeah.
I thought, well, is there a management lesson here that if you recruit people with certain skills, then don't be surprised when that's what they use.
When they bring dead mice.
Well, that's what they do. If they bring you dead mice, but they've been trained to bring dead mice, then that's what you're going to get. So if you're going to get a cat, you have to accept you're going to get dead mice.
That's where you're going wrong. I'm not a cat person.
No. Well, yeah, I like having a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
Cat or dog?
Well,
I know you've got both, but like
got both,
you've got to prefer the dogs, haven't you?
The thing is, you can leave a cat behind at the weekend, put enough food out. They'll only eat what they want, look after themselves. They're very regal, aren't they, cats? They're very sort of self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Dogs, nice that they're needy, but they're needy. They'll eat everything you put in front of them and everybody else's food as well. In fact, the dog tries to eat the cat food. And you can't go away for the weekend without taking them with you.
True.
It's constrained a bit, but it is lovely having them around. Go for a walk with a dog. But a dog has to be above the knee. Below the knee, that's not a dog.
Yeah, to be a real dog. Yeah, no, I'd like a dog, but not the right stage of life.
There's never the right stage.
Well, never the right, but we would
People
just...
often have them when they've got young kids.
We would
you haven't got young kids?
No, but they would... I know what would happen. Everyone would fawn over it as a puppy and then...
Oh, you'd be promised that everyone would take it for a walk. That would last a day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The amount of friends I've seen fall for that one. Come on, oldest trick in the book.
So, but yeah, cat. They always look like they're going to pounce, don't they? You always.
Well, often they're just asleep.
They often look like they're ready, and they're coiled spring, aren't they? A cat. Yeah. Just looking at you, going, your prey. The prey instinct is there, isn't it?
You get the impression dogs know that you're the owner. I think cats think that they're the owner.
Yeah.
You're the cat's pet.
And if anyone listening is thinking, is this a business podcast?
Hang on, we've avoided any dad jokes.
Oh, that is true. That's because I've not been here for a month.
Well, you have to have a bit of run-up to get into the habit.
I'm not warmed up. I've forgotten what to do. I've forgotten what to do.
Your dad joke training. It's right. We've had a lot of guests recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
Go on, we'll do that in a minute. We're going to.
Yeah.
Should we do a podcast?
Let's do a podcast.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow, where every week we try and come up with something useful or interesting or a bit off the wall for owners and managers of small and medium-sized companies, enterprises, businesses, depending whether you like SME, SMB or whatever else. And with me this week, a bit of a change really, but back to pre-normal is Rich. Well, back.
The new normal.
The new normal. But we had a long run of just you and me, didn't we? And then I suppose it's because Easter holidays came up and we did a couple of guest ones in there.
Yep, the way.
So, go on, you've got the list in front of you there because Meg sorted us all out. What were the previous few episodes?
So, 166 was How One Trend Transformed a Business with Tom.
Oh.
Tom.
Was that last week? No, that was
166.
Yeah. What episode are we on today then?
169.
Oh, right. Wow.
Charging towards the double century.
Charging? That's 31 weeks away.
Well,
Christmas by then.
Yeah, well.
Don't wish it away.
Feels like it.
Anyway, so that was 166 with Tom. Yeah, I thought it was really good actually. I spoke to Tom and he's been approached by someone else who does podcasts on the back of them seeing that podcast.
Oh, wow.
So there we go. We're promoting
promoters.
Podcast guests.
Yeah.
So well done, Tom. That was a good episode, though. It was all about whether you jump on a trend or not and how you protect yourself against the trend passing on.
In my head now, I've got images of us being like Don King. The podcast equivalent.
Is that going to dominate now your thoughts through this episode?
There's a strong likelihood that might happen.
Given we're talking about that would be very useful.
So then 167, Sailing Around the World, Leadership Lessons with Ian Herbert Jones.
Ian, he was amazing. Incredible story. I mean, he's been around a couple of times. One single-handed, though. That was the incredible one. Unassisted, single-handed, non-stop, not allowed to use any electronics at all sextants. Didn't know when the weather was going to do whatever, which is what was his undoing. He sailed straight into a hurricane, and it sunk him. He was rescued by a Taiwanese fishing trawler. Spent months on that, waiting to get back to land. I mean, just phenomenal, really. And like before that, he was a salesman for the software industry, so took about two very different experiences in life. But he said there were remarkable parallels. And even doing his solo trip around the world, he talked about the team and all the prep and how much it relied on so many other people. So I could have spoken to him all day just about the sailing exploits, but we had to somehow bring it back to some business relevance as well. So thank you, Ian, for coming on to that.
Something about that, isn't there? Just setting sail on your...
We also interviewed once before Steve Arnold, salesman again, software sales, who sailed across the Atlantic, and he sunk. And I must be one of the few people that have got two mates with boats at the bottom of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
I'm beginning, if anybody else doesn't say that, you don't want to know me.
If you're in software and you're thinking about going sailing...
There's a link.
And you know Dave, don't do it.
Yeah, there's a classic correlation
That's the management lesson there. So that was what episode 167. 168 was the Workers' Protection Act, what employers really need to know.
I don't say it took you by surprise because we keep broadly abreast of these things, but a particular incident at a contact and their company brought it more to light, and it's the fact that the law did change. I think Andrea, who was the guest on that one, she said it was October 24, where it put a different burden of duty onto employers to show that they're taking proactive and preventative steps, especially around the area of sexual harassment. And we talked about some of the surveys that the government did, annoyingly for them in the middle of COVID, so it got kind of overshadowed and didn't really get the airtime it deserved, but showing that 42% of women and 18% of men say they experienced sexual harassment within the last year at work.
Right.
So no one's taking it away from that. It's clearly a predominantly female problem, but men as well, not to dismiss it, but those percentage figures are crazy. And that it's no longer good enough for employers just to react to them. They've got to show they're taking proactive steps, and that's not just running an annual video they've got to watch, showing that you're changing behaviour and all that stuff, especially around drinks events after work. Bit of a
I've got some stories on that. Probably not for public repetition.
Well, sure we'll do that then.
But yeah.
So they were the previous three episodes.
I mean, I think I've done I think Andrew and I did a podcast. I think it was on a similar subject, actually. It was on the...
It was on the Hermosa Kiss.
Hermosa Kiss.
After the Women's World Cup football.
Yes.
When the FIFA president kissed the captain of the Spanish team, was it, on the lips?
Yeah.
And caused all sorts of grief.
Yeah. So... That was 168, so that brings us to 169.
You think? Slurped my tea there.
Slurped, yeah. Enthusiastic.
So what we're going to talk about today then? Well, at the time of recording, and we have to say this because things are moving fast and daily, we're still in the middle of quite a deep crisis, war even, in the Middle East, where the Straits of Hormuz have been weaponized by Iran. And thank you, Mr. Trump, you've made them realise that they've got something even more powerful than a nuclear weapon. They've got territorial waters that used to be regarded as international, and now they're asserting as their own. And so what's happening is that the number of tankers coming out of the Gulf, which is the other side of the Strait of Hormuz, has dropped to virtually zero, 10% of what it was. And we're all carrying on as normal. Maybe not quite. Petrol prices have gone up.
I've started walking to work, which is my,
that because of
my
that?
contribution.
Well done.
Well, it's a combination of not having to drive daughter to drop off for school.
Because it's the Easter holidays.
Because it's Easter holidays, but also petrol prices, and also it's quite nice weather, and it's good for you.
And why not? It's good for you. Good for you.
I'm quite enjoying it, actually.
And we have a lovely town to walk through.
It is.
It's very nice. Walk along the river. So apart from you walking to work then,
Yeah.
nobody else is doing anything different.
I'm doing my bit.
To be fair, there are a few changes. Apparently EV sales have spiked because people suddenly realise that until the electricity prices go up, which they will do in a couple of months' time, that's a cheaper way of running a car. But things like avgas, airplane fuel. Apparently there's, at any one time, a conveyor belt of 8 tankers between the Straits and here. We get most of our avgas from the Gulf. And the last one docked this week or something.
Yeah.
And no more have replaced it. So there's no more avgas coming in. Now, because apparently there's about, I asked ChatGPT this, there's about 6 weeks worth of built-in stocks just in pipelines and tankers and storage and the system. You won't actually run out yet for another few weeks, maybe another 4 or 5 weeks. But it's not as if you're getting a massive change in airplane schedules. And yet we know the taps have been turned off.
Yeah.
It just so happens we're now living on what's in the pipe. And even if they turned it on again today, it would be another 5-6 weeks again before it got back
But there must
to
be
normal.
other sources, though, isn't there, of the fuel?
America are trying to sell theirs, but everybody else will be trying to sell theirs as well, right? Because a load of supply has just been taken out of the world system. And we don't know if it can go back to where it was. Certainly the stuff that Iran used to produce, because some of the biggest gas field in the world has been damaged and a fifth of its capacity has been taken out.
Yeah.
So it's just bizarre, really, to think that we can all see this. We see it reported in great detail. We know that there's been a massive impact already being seen in oil prices, but not yet in supply arriving at our doorstep. We've still all got petrol in the pumps, by and large.
Well, I think it's not just, I mean, obviously petrol pump prices are the ones that go up the fastest. I mean, even though, like you say, the supply isn't actually an issue at present, prices have gone up, though, as ever they do.
Yeah.
But it's the knock-on effect as well into other industries. So I was reading something the other day, resin for a plastic manufacturer has gone up by 40%.
Because it comes out
As
of
a byproduct of
helium.
petroleum. Helium,
20% of the world's helium comes out of Iran or something. Or no, it's maybe it's Kuwait, but it comes through the Straits.
But it's a byproduct.
And you can't make semiconductors without helium.
Yeah.
In our atmosphere.
CO2.
Urea for fertilizer.
Yeah.
It's just all this stuff is all these knock-on
massive
related. Makes you realise how much it's not just about transportation, but we rely on these fossil fuels. And you suddenly turn them off. So the point of today's podcast is really to think, in business, are we similarly blind to stuff that we can see is coming down the road at us, but until it actually hits us, we don't change behaviour, which is crazy. You know, if you're driving towards the cliff edge at 100 mile an hour, you don't wait till you get to the cliff edge before you put the brakes on. And yet in business, we're kind of carrying on as if nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
We know energy prices are going to go up in 2 or 3 months' time, when, in domestic terms anyway, when the price cap goes up. That doesn't apply anyway to commercial businesses, so we're already going to be paying more as soon as people's fixed contracts come to an end.
Yeah.
That's already happening. Transportation is going to become not only more expensive, but potentially rationed. Flights, you know, already there's some Japanese airlines are cancelling some of their less busy flights. In the Midwest, in America, they're already cancelling midweek flights, and they can produce their own avgas.
Yeah.
It's a price thing. So there's starting to be, but you're not seeing it wholesale in Europe, and yet we're the ones that are affected most by this gas thing.
Well, I looked this morning, not because I'm intending on going, but I was more curious, really, to see what the price would be for us all to fly to Australia in August. Because I've read somewhere that Qatar and these Middle Eastern airlines are slashing prices by 50%.
Because nobody's flying there.
Because nobody's flying. And
Just
sure enough...
For listeners to know, Richard has family.
I have family in
It's
Australia.
not just a randomly selected destination.
It was the cheapest flights I've ever seen.
Because there's nobody else going.
Yeah. It was unbelievably cheap.
Right.
I couldn't believe it.
So you're going to go?
I don't know.
Still not free.
I'll take my chances.
You're dodging the missiles. Have they diverted them? Are they still going through Dubai and...
I haven't looked
Qatar
recently,
and places
but
like
I thought, my goodness, these are the cheapest price. They're probably cheaper than they were 5 years ago.
Well, I guess the countries that are flying out of the Middle East have got their own supplies.
Yeah.
So maybe they are going to carry on flying.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the avgas out by the Straits. You fly it out in the tank of an aircraft, right?
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder then, what point do you get to where it's actually worth flying the planes over there just to fill up with fuel, bring them back again?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the whole system
Yeah.
is so, you don't realise how much we've all been so dependent on
And this is
one
what, as well,
pyramid of
you
water.
think to yourself, I was chatting to someone about this the other day, and it was the same with COVID, where you think to yourself, there's a room full of boffins somewhere who were planning all this stuff out, right, thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, right, because they're famous for that.
And
aren't they?
then
Military
with this thing, you think, right, so it's been 50 years since the revolution
Yep,
in
1979.
And another thing I didn't realise about that as well was that because the British and there was an Iranian, I can't remember what his name was now, but he was president or something, and he said he was going to nationalise Iranian gas, so he was going to give all the all the gas going to be for the benefit of Iranian people. You think that's not a bad idea if you've got all that resource, help people out. But because of all our interest in that, the British and the American interests, we got rid of him, CIA, MI6 apparently,
Right.
and put in the Shah. And in return for that favour, we got 40% of the oil fields. And then sure enough, some people didn't like the sound of all that.
So that triggered a revolution.
That triggered a revolution. So some of these things, unintended consequences, of
how many times
all
has
this.
Britain caused problems? The Balfour Declaration in Palestine, for example. Or
And
wherever
I think, but like you look back on these things and you look at it now and think, it's pretty obvious that you could shut the straits, right? Like that seems like kind of they're 26 miles wide.
Well, apparently it said in the papers Trump considered it and decided that it was unlikely to happen.
And so then you think as well, so in all the war gaming that must happen within all these agencies.
Well, it could well be happening, but no one's listening to it.
But no one's listening to it. Which I suppose
Trump's
is another...
saying he's going to feel it in his bones when he decides to stop the war.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
what he says.
Oh, okay. But I suppose that's another lesson, isn't it, from the point of view of like getting back onto topic here about lead indicators and things like that. You can have all the lead indicators and all the evidence pointing in a certain direction, but if you're not prepared to listen to it as a leader,
don't ask for advice if you're not prepared to take it.
then it doesn't really matter. You can have the best systems, the best information, the best intelligence, but if you are not prepared to listen to it, or you surround yourself with a bunch of people who are just going to say yes, boss, then
no names, no pactoral. Who could you be talking about? So, dear listener, that's exactly what brings us to today's subject, which is how many, I suppose it's so multi-layered this, have you even got lead indicators in your business?
Yeah.
Do you even look at them? And if you look at them, do you then just turn a blind eye because you don't like the answer?
Yeah.
So what I thought would be interesting is if you work backwards in time, if you like, from lag indicators to lead indicators, I wonder if we went through that story now, how far people could get listening to us talk about it before they start feeling uncomfortable. So I think it's pretty safe. I'm maybe going out on a limb here. I think the most laggy indicator is cash. Cash in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there something after that? Possibly. But anyway, from a practical point of view, what sort of measures that might be talked about in a board meeting? Have we got cash in the bank? Can we afford to make payroll this month? Because certainly those businesses that are really struggling, that's where certainly the pain really hurts.
Yeah.
I don't think we can make payroll this month. I can't pay the VAT bill.
Yeah.
I can't, pay my personal taxes, whatever it is. So cash is most laggy.
Yeah.
And yet I suppose even then I don't think that gets enough attention in board meetings. In fact, balance sheets generally don't get much attention. But you go back a bit to the P&L and revenue. So invoiced revenue.
Yeah.
That's the next laggy indicator. It's definitely a lag indicator because to have invoiced it, you've got to have shipped it.
Yeah.
And then you've still got to wait for the cash to come in. So, and yet people focus on profit and loss. They say, what's the profit this month? Oh, we've done okay then.
Yeah.
And then you've got someone in the back of the room saying, oh, but hang on, boss, hang on a minute. What about, all these lead indicators? Oh, don't worry about that. We made a lot of money this month.
Yeah.
And one of the quotes we came up with on this is that if you do a really good monthly performance, it doesn't mean you're having a good month. It just means you finished last month's good performance. This is just when it shows up in the numbers.
Yeah.
So that's where I came from, cash to revenue. And then you start thinking, right, well, what's upstream of that? So what would be the next thing that people should at least
Well, just
look at?
another quick interjection point on that. How quickly you get, so it's all well and good talking about these numbers on the P&L and the balance sheet. How quickly are you getting your P&L on your balance sheet?
Well, that's true as well, reporting. Because some of those can be 45 days, 60 days. We've seen that before.
The lag on that can be,
So you're driving in the rearview mirror in terms of the measures you're looking at.
Yeah.
But there's a time delay on the view that you're looking at.
It's like being in the car wash, isn't it? You always wait for the suds to get out of the
Well,
way.
imagine instead of having a rearview mirror, someone's filming it and showing you what was there 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So you're driving a car, looking backwards with 2 months old data. I mean, we laugh, but that is the
I've seen
reality
it.
in so many
Seen it.
businesses.
Yeah.
Now, in manufacturing companies, there's an awful lot of indicators that happen now upstream of revenue, because we'll have shipments, we'll have finished good stock levels, we'll have work in progress levels, WIP input, maybe raw material stock. We'll have all sorts of things that operationally you can look at. And they do tend to get looked at to some degree, because I think manufacturing people are kind of used to that. They're good predictors of what happens. But for any business, whether you're manufacturing or not, the next obvious gateway, if you like, is orders in, orders received. And I suppose, how many businesses would you say focus on that? You'd like to think quite a lot, right? But I'm just running my head manually through a list of clients, and I'm wondering how much. Most of them, yes, they do. Do they take enough interest? I think the worst culprits are those where delivery lead times are quite long. Maybe it's projects that you win now and they'll get delivered in a year's time. People can convince themselves there's still time to make it up. So invoice is going well at the moment, nothing to worry about. Yeah, okay, order intake's just dropped off a cliff, but hey, that's going to affect next year.
No. Something magical might happen between now and then.
But if nothing magical does happen, you don't catch up. And I've been in meetings where people are really wailing and gnashing teeth and getting really upset and exercised about the fact that we're now losing money. Say, well, hang on, the time to have done something about that was 9 months ago.
Yeah.
That's when we saw the figures dropping off for the order intake. But at the time, everybody was just rejoicing in the fact that we're making loads of profit.
Yeah.
And yet now you're expecting everyone to run around and cut costs and stop doing things, change the world. But it's too late. It's happened. You've now got the inevitable follow-on consequence of what you didn't do 6 months ago.
Yeah. And I think that's... Yeah, you see that. I think as well, if things are going well, then there's always that, I don't know, there must be some sort of psychological bias for it, right? Like, things are good now, it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
And you're just bringing the mood down type of thing.
Yeah, we're doing well, we're paying bonuses, we've got all this profit, and the cash is going up. And
then it's like, well, actually, and that's where I think it's important to, I've talked about this before, and know your numbers type of thing. So what is our sales cycle? What is our... how long does it take for?
Yeah.
What are the what's the time lag between each of these various stages?
I think there's a compounding effect as well. It makes it even worse. When we talked about cash before, declining businesses do well for cash because they still get the receipts in from the busy times that have gone past, and they're not spending as much on new raw materials or cost of conversion. So their cash actually goes up at a time when they're slowing down. Yeah, and the opposite happens all the way around. So you're right, at least the orders one, or maybe order book. Maybe people look at order book, what the Americans call backlog, the outstanding percentage of orders still to be delivered. Maybe they look at that. So hopefully listeners are thinking, yeah, fine, come on, Dave and Rich, challenge me further. I'm okay for that. I'm monitoring order intake. Yep. But what's next up on order intake then? So if we're in the pipeline now, aren't we? Yep. Box 5, as people would know of it as. Wellmeadow 6-box model. So you're in pipeline management. Yeah. Halfway through, probably something like producing quotes. Yeah. Sending out quotes, something like that. So I wonder how many people monitor value of quotes produced each month. And if that suddenly takes a dip, I wonder how many people would be brave enough to say, now the value of quotes has dropped, we now need to do some corrective action. Or value, or number, or percentage one, or those sorts of things as well, all those numbers around that. And if you do spot a drop at this point, what options have you got? Because I don't think we're desperate enough at this point to start doing layoffs or selling assets or anything like that. I think we're probably in the realms of discounting, something like that. So you still want to win more deals, keep the people busy, keep your assets worked. But if the number of quotes seems to be slowing down, you've got to win a higher percentage of them. And one of the ways you can do that is to discount, offer better deals. Yeah, I've seen that recently where someone put their prices up from 45% margin to 65%. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure what the justification for that was really. For that particular number. But up anyway. Yeah. But up and start losing deals. It's like, well, you've changed. It's not so much a discounting thing then, but you just changed the pricing structure. Yeah. Which, depending on your gross margin, can be a good thing or a bad thing. But obviously, for lowish gross margins, these big price increases can pay for themselves. Yeah. Because it all drops through to the bottom line. You could triple your profits on deals, then as long as you don't quarter the volume. I think it's that constant. It's that sort of short vision, short
account on things, isn't it? When when the needle starts moving the wrong way, we're not winning so many quotes. Okay, well, what is it then? You've got to have that analysis phase, haven't you, to say really what's going on here.
Yeah, and I don't think people put anywhere near. They maybe look at it, but if they look at it in the way of, say, maybe looking at their LinkedIn followers or something, or the website traffic, they just think, yeah, that's a shame. Quotes are down this month, but I'm sure it'll pick up.
We've seen that as well, haven't we? Where quote conversion rates have stayed the same, but it's just because deals aren't being closed.
Right, we did a great piece of analysis, didn't we, for a client on that? They know they are, where we showed exactly that if you monitored the age of deals based on age of closed deals based on whether they were won or lost, then the won deals line was flat, whereas the lost deal one was just going up and up and up and up. People were just harbouring zombie deals, not closing them down. So we did a bit of analysis there.
So almost on each of these indicators, these lead indicators, you need to ask yourself the question almost at every stage, am I kidding myself?
Yeah. Because you don't close deals down hoping that... We actually put an automatic process in for that one to automatically close deals down at a certain number of days. In fact, another client forced that on to the sales team without their agreement and forced it in and said, no, guys, if you're not going to close a deal... I think he put the caveat in that if a deal is 60 days old and you haven't spoken to them in the last 30 days, then I'm closing the deal down. Yeah. And if it comes back, you've got to open it up again. Yeah. It changed behaviour. Definitely, yeah. So, okay, quote values. That's the next one up. And thinking maybe, like your point there, what's the action you would take if that drops off? And at that point, I think you're down to something around your negotiations to increase your win rates. Yeah. So we'll go upstream of there then. What's the next thing that people should be looking at but maybe aren't? New deal values, maybe? Beginning of pipeline, anyway.
Beginning of pipeline.
Qualification, perhaps.
Qualification, number of new deals coming in, value of those deals, are they changing?
Yeah. Now, the problem with this area of measurement is that quite often at the new deal stage you don't really know what the value is, and people will use that as a reason not to monitor it. Yeah, and yet an estimate of it will still show you a trend. Yeah, maybe you're always 20% over or 50% under or whatever. But
I reckon if you've got any business owner and you put a load of new deals into a pipeline and you said, right, here's a bit of context about that deal, 9 times out of 10 they'd be able to give you pretty good ballpark as to where that is.
And unless you're in a business that does 5 deals a year, if you've got a reasonable volume, then averages will do the job for you. If you've got 100 deals a year, 10 a month or whatever, then you could probably just average it out. And certainly if you segment it and say this type of product is this average, anyway. This is that. So if you work hard at coming up with a number, then at least you can see the trend, even if it doesn't always hit the reality number. And then I wonder how many people react to that. Because if you see the deals dropping down, the new deals coming in dropping down, then it's not about your negotiating tactics at that point. This is maybe you haven't even got to pricing discussions. So the fact that you've dropped isn't to do with your prices. Yeah, potentially, depending if people can see those beforehand.
But it's multivariate, isn't it? Because it could be that the actual number, the value, if you're measuring the value, say on an estimated number or something, an average or something, that could stay the same. But the number of deals, the volume could have gone up or down, and you want to then start looking at, okay, what's the mix here? Is something fundamentally changing? Are we are we winning now smaller deals than before? Is something shifted in the market, or is perception of our brand changed for some reason, or whatever it is? So many of these things need to be. I think sometimes people want that. Give me the answer. What's the answer? Give me the silver bullet to fix this problem. It's like all of these stages really are part of a much bigger puzzle that you've really got to be on.
Well, I think there's a worry that people do ask for the number, the answer, and then when they get it, if it doesn't fit their model of the world, they ignore it. So you could go upstream of the new deals being created and just look at MQLs, marketing qualified leads, or SQLs, or how many people are coming into the system, or even go further up there and look at form fills on your website, or website traffic even, or go upstream of that and just look at market data. Yeah. And that's when you get into your pest analysis and work out is things shifting away from us. Yeah, I mean, if I was, and we're based in the Midlands of the UK, it's very dominated in industry by the internal combustion engine car industry. Yep. I'd be not putting bets on that growing in the next 5 or 10 years, right? We've got EVs coming through, and despite the delays recently because of political reasons, what we've just been talking about with the oil prices is only going to force it the other way. So all those companies out there making everything from pistons to tyres to brakes to seats to airbags, whatever, if they're still going to be needed in an EV, great. If it's all to do with the internal combustion engine bit, what are you doing now? That's not because today your website's traffic dropped all of a sudden.
Yeah.
That's because you've got a 5, 10, 15, 20-year trend going against you. Strategic stuff. So I suppose today we were looking at the more tactical measures that you can look at that maybe change your behaviour.
But even from the point of view of a strategy session, strategy day, where we're going over the next 5 years, type of vision planning, that type of thing, blue sky, actually looking at, okay, what is going on in our market? Are we in a market where we're getting, people are getting older? So the UK, we're getting an older population. So care homes, age tech or whatever it's going to be.
The grey dollar.
But
you're right, they're definitely more strategic things.
Strategic things, but
there's a lot of stuff between that and the revenue number we talked about, or the cash number, which could give you a shorter view. If you knew that in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months' time, you were going to go through a dodgy patch, you wouldn't be making discretionary project expenditure now, or taking on that recruit, which you didn't really have a role for, but you just come across them and you think, they'll be nice to have around. I'm sure they'll fit in. You wouldn't be doing things that added cost. You wouldn't be signing up to big new leases, or maybe you'd take a different view on your company car scheme. Or
it's a mindset, I think, isn't it? It's a mindset with some of this stuff, which is why I think even, like you say, whether it's sort of at the more tactical end of like we've got to make decisions now because of this, or at the more strategic end of where's this heading in 5 years, I think it's the same mindset of have we got a system around us that's actually measuring these numbers, and we've got the right information going into it, and the right people making the right decisions around it all,
and being empowered and brave enough to make those decisions. Because another thing we talked about earlier is that often in a crisis where it's already too late, the revenue's dropped, the cash is dropping, people cut back on their marketing, their training, all these things that they feel won't have a short-term impact. Whereas there's an intermediate stage where you could see it coming, but you're still doing well. Yeah, that's the time you should be ramping up things like marketing and training, and maybe even recruitment in some cases, depending where it is, salespeople perhaps, because you can see the dip coming down the pipeline. You've got to fill that dip faster than it would naturally be filled to correct for it. And so that takes a different type of reaction than just, say, cost-cutting, batten down the hatches.
Well, as Granny used to say, a stitch in time saves 9.
Well, it's certainly something to be said for that. One of the quotes that came out of this is every pound of revenue started life as a signal.
Yeah, I like that.
That is quite cool, isn't it? It's true that by the time it's happened, it's been known about for a long time.
Well, and we haven't really talked about it, but that whole AI shift as well. I mean, that's huge in terms of, if you want a signal, look at what's happening with the labour market, look at what's happening with AI. There's some major kind of shifts afoot.
And even if there's disagreement in your board about whether that's going to affect you or not, at least by focusing on these lead indicators, then you can say, well, philosophically, we may not agree on what's going to happen in 3 or 5 years' time, but I can tell you now that in 6 months' time, this is going to happen because this lead indicator is already showing negative impact. So it's a bit back to if the tankers stop coming out of the Straits of Hormuz, then you know that at some point in the future, airports are going to start rationing which airlines get fuel, and it'll probably be through price or whatever. Same with the petrol prices for cars. How are people adapting their behaviour like now? Are you stockpiling petrol in the garage?
Plastic bottles, with old lemonade bottles.
Yeah, just any little bit of diesel you can find, pop it in there. That's not going to be a fire hazard. I mean, what can you do about that other than walk more, get yourself an electric bike, electric car, public transport, those sorts of things. But it's just in the business sense. I just feel as if we sleepwalk into this stuff. And if your colleagues in business aren't also taking drastic decisions, you feel like a right numpty saying, I'm taking some cost-cutting measures now, even though we're making massive profits, because I can see something coming down the road in 6 months' time.
And some of these things you can't control. But I think if you actually mapped out that whole process, you could say, well, maybe there are some things we could do to shorten our sales cycle. Or maybe we're not collecting cash as quickly as we should because we think we're okay, or maybe we're not getting proposals out the door, or whatever it is. You could look at that whole thing, and it'd be interesting to say, well, imagine that's from first indicator to cash is 6 months. Well, what if we took a month off that or 2 months off that? Certain things aren't going to be in your control, but I think even that is an interesting
part of the
exercise to kind of
actions you might take.
Look at this and then I think we did the one on whatever it was, business continuity planning, or you could even role play some of these things, couldn't you?
Do the different scenarios.
What happens if that happens?
War game it.
War game it.
Yeah.
which we all hope, as I said before, is being done by the boffins in this imaginary room. But I don't think it is.
They're not being listened to.
But,
if they're doing it at
if
all.
they're doing it, they're not being listened to.
Well, it's neither a lead indicator nor a lag indicator, but our time's up.
Yeah.
I can see that. So hopefully that's given listeners some food for thought. Are you both measuring, taking notice of, and then acting upon the lead indicators that you have in your business? Quite sobering food for thought. So thanks for listening for that. Maybe it's provoked a thought for you and your business. Maybe it's something you'd like to share with the rest of your board or your managers. And maybe it's something you'd like to share outside of your business. So if you do feel that way, please send a link to what we're doing to those people you know, or maybe just mention it to them in the pub. But in the meantime, good luck with your business.